I'm going to be giving you my current top health tips. I think they're applicable to everybody, no matter what job or what career you're in or what you're doing with your life. I think that these are helpful. Did you girls know that during a certain period of time, March 25th was the first day of the new year? That middle end of March marked the new year, not January 1st. Did you guys know that? Listen, I'm sure that we learned this in a small little tiny section of one chapter of one of our history books in high school that I just happened to glaze over. Maybe I had like one question on it on a history exam. History, sorry, was not my favorite class in high school. I did not know this. The other day, my sister and I were in the kitchen. We were chatting. Also, Chooch is going to be back on the podcast. Don't you guys worry. We've got some really exciting updates. The girl is doing well, okay? And she's going to give you a full update. We're going to get back to best details. I know you guys are wanting it. We're going to get back to that. But she was saying, she's like, oh, well, my new year starts in March anyways. And I was like, haha, funny. She's like, well, no, that's how it used to be. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah, like March was the beginning. Like it's the first zodiac sign, Aries. It's like March 21st or something is when it's Aries marks the first astrological sign, this, that, and the woo wah. And then she was doing more research. And I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. She's like, yeah, it makes sense because I don't know why we would start the new year in the middle of winter. Why would we start it in January? Why would it be January 1st? It makes no sense. Why wouldn't we start it after winter or when a season closes and a new one begins? And I was like, mind blown. So, of course, I had to dig in. I had to dig in. And listen, this is going to be a little bit of a history lesson. So, I'm sorry if I'm going to bore you with this, but I don't think that you're going to be bored with this because I am not. And I found this really interesting. So, I'm going to give you a little spiel from Massachusetts law, mass.gov. Okay. And I'm going to give you guys kind of what the history of the changes was going from March back to January and all the different things. Okay, are you guys ready? Until 1752, England and its British dominions, including those in America, celebrated March 25th as the first day of the calendar year. Oh my God, petition to bring it back. Okay, anyways, let me get into it. Since ancient times, England had used the Julian calendar instituted by Julius Caesar in 45 BCE. I cannot believe that people lived 45 BCE is crazy. Like, wow. Okay, I don't even want to go there. The Julian calendar followed a solar year of 365 days, but had a somewhat inaccurate method of calculating leap years, which over the centuries led to the addition of too many extra days. Originally, January 1st was the date of the new year in the Julian calendar, but after the fall of the Roman Empire, the date gradually changed in various parts of Europe to March 25th to conform with the Christian festival of Annunciation. England adopted March 25th as New Year's Day in the 12th century. The 12th century, oh my God. In 1582, in order to make sure that all Christians celebrated Easter on the correct day, Pope Gregory XIII introduced a new calendar known as the Gregorian calendar. Could you imagine like just naming a calendar after yourself? He's like, oh, I'm Pope Gregory. We're going to name it the Gregorian calendar. Like Pope Soph, we're going to name it the Sophian calendar. Thank you. In the Gregorian calendar, January 1st was the first day of the new year, and a revised method for calculating leap years kept the calendar from becoming unhinged from the movement of the sun and the seasons. Pope Gregory's papal, oh, hold on. Nope, I'm not about to mispronunciate a word. Let me look this up. Everybody hold, please. Okay. What is it? Papal. That's it. I'm like, I know it's not papal. Papal. I should know that. Pope Gregory's papal bull announcing the new calendar did not explicitly specify January 1st as the beginning of the year, but he acknowledged as much in his reform of the Catholic liturgical calendar in 1582, which ends on December 31st. In fact, many countries were already using January 1st as New Year's Day before they adopted the Gregorian calendar. Protestant England did not accept the new papal calendar and stuck to the Julian calendar, as well as the New Year date of March 25th. Scotland changed New Year's Day to January 1st in 1600, but otherwise continued to use the Julian calendar until 1752. Okay, I know that you guys are probably bored, but listen to this. Listen to this. The change was made in two steps, because how are you going to go from January for like March 25th to January 1st marking that as the new year. How are you going to make that change? Listen to this. The change was made in two steps. December 31st, 1751 was followed by January 1st, 1752. The switch from March 25th to January 1st as the first day of the year. So they're like, you know what? It's December 31st, 1751. Tomorrow's going to be January 1st, 1752. That's step one. Phase two, September 2nd, 1752, was followed by September 14th, 1752, dropping 11 days in order to agree with the date of the Gregorian calendar. Furthermore, the method for calculating leap years was changed to the more accurate method of the Gregorian calendar. So not only were these people worrying about the bubonic plague, they lost 11 days. Well, the bubonic plague was probably what? Way earlier than that, like a couple hundred years, like 12, 1300. I don't know. But that is crazy. They're like, oh, you wake up at September 2nd and then the next day it's September 14th. Absolutely not. So, anyways, that is just a random spiel, but I had to let you guys know. I'm sure some of you guys are like, so if we know this, welcome to the club. But for me, my mind was blown because I'm like, that makes so much sense. And then obviously, this is just one piece of, I think we use a Gregorian calendar now, like that's what we still use, but this is just one piece of it. There's so many different cultures that celebrate New Year's at different times, and it makes sense with their culture. I think we obviously all use one calendar now, but it's just really interesting how it just doesn't make sense. And you know, it's funny, I was talking to my sister too, and I was like, well, that makes more sense to me. Like, you get through winter, which is a time to just relax and calm down and shelter and hibernate, and the plants die, and the, you know, the animals go into hibernation, and we all cuddle and cozy up, and we nurture ourselves and we take care of ourselves. And then it's like, congratulations, you made it through the thick of winter. Now it's the new year. You're granted with the new year with, you know, this beautiful sunshine and blooming and flowers. Obviously, that's only on this side of the country because there's a lot of variables. Okay. In a perfect world, in my world, okay, in the Sophia calendar, or the Sophian calendar, March 25th is the new year. So maybe if you guys want to join me, I'm going to create my own calendar and I'm going to go based off of that because that makes the most sense to me. I know that in, like, for example, the other hemisphere, it's like flipped. Like in Australia, they celebrate, it's like Christmas is summer, which is so strange, instead of it being winter over here, whatever. Anyways, it just makes a lot of sense. I think we should be hibernating because it never feels right. January 1st never feels right as a new year. It does not feel right for us to go balls to the walls, trying to change our lives, trying to get all like, you know, fit and hot for the summer. Like, oh, summer bodies are made in the winter. Like, yeah, sure. But it's literally pouring outside and it's overcast and it's sad. I don't want to get hot for the summer right now. Sorry, it's not happening right now. It can happen in the spring. It happens like right before. That kind of makes more sense to me. And I used to, maybe some of you guys can relate, but when I was in school, all the way up until I graduated college, my new year started in August because I always based the years off of like school calendar years. So even though we would celebrate the new year, I'd go back to school. And then the summertime would be kind of the end of the year of school for me. And then we'd get a little bit of a break. And then we pick up the new year in August when we go back to school. So ever since graduating college back in 2021 for me, I have always felt like the new year has never felt right to me. That is it's such a weird transition when you graduate college, you go into the real world, and then you actually have to like start your new year off in a different way where it's like, oh, I'm not going back to school. This is real life. This is the new year. And it's always, the new year's always just felt shitty. And I'm like, how how do people accomplish goals and get ready for summer and the winter when we should be hibernating? We should be cozied up. Like, I've got my little London fog right here. I've been obsessed with London fogs, you guys. It is a tea latte. It's Earl Grey tea with a little bit of vanilla syrup and some milk, but I use from the brand Rishi, I use concentrate, like a tea concentrate, and you just do equal parts milk to equal parts concentrate. So I do like a half a cup of milk, half a cup of the, what do you call it? The London fog concentrate. And it's freaking delicious. I just like on the stove top, I just kind of heat it up a little bit. And I've got that. I'm like, I should be hibernating right now. I should not be trying to freak out about New Year's goals. You know what I mean? Mm. Oh god, that's fabulous. But yeah, anyways, very interesting. Had to share that with you in case you always felt like the new year never felt right to you. I wish that we could all come to a consensus where we would want to change the calendar year to something that would make sense. But I feel like this is one of those things where it's just too many variables, and there's people from other parts of the country in different hemispheres where it just wouldn't make sense to them. But in the Sophian calendar and right here, right now in my world, it absolutely makes the most sense. But in today's episode, aside from that, had to share it with you guys. I'm going to be giving you my current top health tips. Now, there's a million health tips that you can get. A lot of people give it. I'm sure there's a lot of other amazing podcast episodes or videos out there that you can get health tips from. I find that when I listen to content creators and influencers give health tips, they are amazing health tips. It's not like they're bad tips, but for the most part, I would say a majority of them aren't applicable to just your everyday girly pop who is not a content creator or influencer and doesn't have a lot of time and energy to spend, in the morning or in the evening or whatever. Like the tips are helpful, but it's not directly applicable to just the average girly pop. So I want to give you guys tips that I feel like are definitely important to focus on when it comes to your health. And I think they're applicable to everybody, no matter what job or what career you're in or what you're doing with your life. I think that these are helpful. And so I'm going to give them to you. I'm going to give you guys a list. I'm going to give you guys some just overall health ones. I've got 3 nutrition tips as well that I think are going to really kind of change your perspective and shift your perspective with nutrition. Because when it comes to a health and wellness journey, I've been working with clients for years. The hardest part is nutrition, and in a healthy way, how to incorporate nutrition into your lifestyle and make it a lifestyle and not make it just a one off diet change where you try something for a period of time and then you stop it and you're like, well, I don't know what to do now. You want to make nutrition something that flows within your lifestyle, something that is useful in your lifestyle, and something that doesn't feel like it's holding you back or it's creating toxic habits. You want it to be something that is fun for you. Nutrition is fun. And you can have a great relationship with nutrition. It doesn't have to be all numbers. And I'm going to give you guys some insight there and just give you some health tips. So let's get into it. Okay, number 1, this is so important. So this has changed Nash's life, which has changed my life. So I am not a mouth breather when I sleep. Nash always makes fun of me, but he and my parents have always said this, but when I sleep, I literally have like a little smile on my face. My mouth is closed. I've got like normal breathing and I look like I am just in a pure blissful state. And it's because it's true. I'm happiest when I'm asleep. But with Nash, he's a big boy, okay? And big boys lay on their backs and like to snore. He only just started snoring. So I was like, Nash, you're going to eventually need a CPAP machine. He's like, I don't want a machine. I don't want to get that. And I was like, okay, we need to figure something out. So mouth taping became a thing. I started to look into it. So I taped his mouth shut and it's completely changed his life. But what he's been doing, he's kind of been doing like a double thing here. He's been using nose strips on his nose every night. And there's these strips that you can buy. I mean, you can get nose strips anywhere. They're not necessarily like Vicks Vapor Rub nose strips where it has that kind of, I don't know, medication in it. It's nose strips that have this certain kind of bandage on top that opens up your nostrils just a little bit, not like a ton where it's pulling your nostrils apart, but it's got this certain kind of molding to it that opens up your nostrils very slightly. And I've tried them and I'm not even kidding you when I'm like, oh my God, I can breathe clearly now. The rain is good. That's how it feels. So he does that alongside taping his mouth shut because sometimes if you tape your mouth shut and even if you have a deviated septum or even not that and you just don't breathe well out of your nose, that slight like millimeter shift on each side will completely change the game. It basically is like, oh, this is how it should feel breathing through your nose. Because if you tape your mouth shut, and you can't properly breathe through your nose, it's kind of counterintuitive. So what he's done is he's done both. So he does the mouth taping. We have some from Amazon. He's tried the Skinny Confidential as well, which he really likes those, but basically a mouth tape that has a hole in the middle. So you can breathe out of the hole in the middle in case of emergency. But I'm telling you guys, not a fucking peep from him at night. He no longer snores. He has had the best sleeps of his life. He is starting to get like a jawline and less inflammation. He's kind of been on his own health and wellness journey, but as soon as he started mouth taping, he stopped waking up stuffed up. He would get the best sleep of his life. He'd have better energy throughout the day because better sleep, if you get high quality sleep, your entire life is going to change. So he's got better energy throughout the day. His cravings have completely gone down. The inflammation and puffiness in his face has gone down. And I'm not saying that this is all going to happen to you, but huge benefits almost immediately. When he first tried it out, he literally woke up. He's like, I have never slept that well in my life. Like, I just got the deepest sleep. So he's been doing it for a couple months now. Complete game changer. So if you are a mouth breather, or if your man is a mouth breather at night, try it out. Try out the nose strips, try out the mouth tape. It can take a little bit of an adjustment. You might wake up and be like, in a delusional state, and be like, what is on my face? What's going on? But overall, if you can get through it and if you can push through it, it's seriously going to change. It's going to change the game. So that has been something that I've wanted to bring to the table for you guys and let you guys know how much it has changed Nash's life, which inherently has changed mine, because even though I have my sleep machine, when a big ass man is next to you just grumbling and snoring, and he used to wake up, he kind of had like a little bit of sleep apnea. He started to get a little bit of sleep apnea, and I was like, dude, this is not good. Like, this is not a healthy way to live. You should not be waking up every night like choking for air. And I was like, let's try this out before we go to the doctors and before we, do anything else, or try a mouth guard and see how this works. And immediate changes. It has been great. This won't work for everybody, but that really worked for Nash. So now I'm getting the best sleep of my life because my man also is as well. And he looks amazing. Like, his jawline, I was like, okay, sir. And he's like, stop it. So yeah, it's been really great. That's a great health tip. Totally recommend not only mouth taping, but also the nose strips as well. The next health tip I'm going to give you is, instead of focusing in on your morning routine, I want you to focus in on your nighttime routine. A lot of a lot of posts on social media focus so heavily on a morning routine. And I fully believe, obviously, having a solid morning routine is important. It's great to get your day kickstarted on a good note, whether you want to meditate, you want to run, you want to journal, you want to go work out, you want to drink water, you want to have less screen time in the morning, you want to do, there's a ton of recommendations I could give you for a morning routine that you've probably already heard. And if not, you've tried it, you've done it, you're doing it now. At the end of the day, when you wake up in the morning, you need to brush your teeth. You need to do your normal hygiene stuff, either rinse your body or put on deodorant. You want to wash your face, put on clothes, and get out the door. That could be it. You don't have to do the million step morning routine if you don't want to, but there are things that you have to do in the morning before. I mean, you don't have to, okay, but you know what I mean. Generalized statement here. If you're going to work, you want to put yourself together. You've got to do your normal, like, get out of bed. You've got to do your hygienic moment in the morning. You got to put clothes on. You are going to probably drink a little bit of water in the morning and feed yourself some food in the morning as well. Those are things that you have to do or get done at some point in the morning. Is there a magical morning process that can make things a lot easier and you can have a nice start to your day? Yes, but you will not have a good morning routine if you don't have a good nighttime routine and you don't have high quality sleep. Your days will not be good if your nights are not set up well. If you are not getting high quality sleep, you're not living a high quality life. I will tell you that right now. As soon as I've read a couple books, I've read a couple research studies about sleep as well, which I'm going to bring you guys, of course, along to sleep and health and how sleep impacts your health. It is so important. We don't focus on it enough. We focus too much on the grind doesn't stop. We need to be working out. We need to be numbers, tracking calories, losing weight, this, that, the other, which that's fine. That's fine. That's important as well. But sleep is like 80% of your health. If you want to grow muscles, if you want to lose weight, if you want to go through body recomposition, if you want your mental health to get better, whatever you're doing, whatever your goal is for a health and wellness journey, if you're not prioritizing your sleep, what are you even doing? You might as well not even continue your health and wellness journey. That's how important sleep is, and people don't talk about it enough. It is where your body regenerates and rejuvenates. It's where your cells repair. It's where your muscle tissue repairs. That is where your muscle grows. Your muscle doesn't grow at the gym when you're lifting your weights. Your muscle grows when you're sleeping. And if you're not getting high quality sleep, your body's not able to regenerate, rejuvenate, and feel good. You probably notice it as well. Now it's really cool. There's trackers out there. like an Aura Ring that I have, where you're actually able to see what kind of sleep that you're getting. It is a phenomenal investment outside of using your Aura Ring to track your cycle. There's other sleep things that you can have too, like watches. You don't have to get an Aura Ring, but if you can have some kind of sleep tracker, it will totally, totally change the game. So, sleep is so super important, and having a proper wind down routine is really important because, yes, like I said, there's things that you have to do in the morning in order before you leave the house for work or for whatever you're doing. But at nighttime, if you wanted to just get home and go straight from your front door into your bed without washing your face, without washing your body, without you can do that. You can literally just stumble into bed and go to sleep, and that's it. Which, you know what? We've all had those nights. Haven't we all had those nights where we've woken up with our makeup on and maybe our going out clothes? We had to do a walk of shame here, there, whatever. It happens. We can't be perfect, but for the most part, you don't have to do a nighttime routine, but you need to. You have to properly set the mood, to properly wind down, to wind your brain down and your mind down so then you can get proper sleep. So that things like dimming lights, turning, high beam lights on. I mean, if you have your overhead lights on, absolute crime. If you not only, oh my God, sometimes I'm driving in the evening time or at nighttime and I can see inside of homes, there are white LED lights at like a kitchen table. I'm like, it should be a crime. It should be a crime. Warm lights only. If you're going to do overhead lights, which I think is a crime in itself, fine, but it's got to be warm. It's got to be a warm light like this here, like a yellowy warm. Oh my God, white LED lights are like actually so scary. And can we talk about cars for a second and why all of these nice new cars have these white bright LED? It should be illegal. Like, I know I'm saying like, oh, it's a crime. No, it should actually be illegal to have these high beam. They're not even high beam. They're the regular beam lights. Like all the new Lexus cars or these trucks, they're lifted and jacked up. God forbid here, everyone in Nashville has a big old jacked up truck, which, you know what? Do your thing, homeboy. It literally is directly into my eyes. I'm like, I can't see anything behind me. Why is this a brand new car? Why does it have white LED lights? What is going on here? Like, I genuinely cannot see. Anyways, let me give you guys some of the science behind sleep and health and what improper sleep and low quality sleep can lead to, which I don't think a lot of people really understand this, which hopefully you will now. This is from this is so cool. The Division of Sleep Medicine at the Harvard Medical School. First of all, could you imagine going to Harvard, let alone Harvard Medical School, let alone being a part of their Division of Sleep Medicine? Major slay. Like, that's just so cool. I love it. So, is insufficient sleep is not good. It's going to lead to a lot of really, really bad things, could lead to a lot of really bad things. And I don't mean to fearmonger you guys, but what's crazy is that most of the sleep studies that have been done over years, they haven't been done really in a long time, were on men. And they were like, oh, yeah, 6 to 8 hours of sleep, you're good to go. Well, there's new studies showing that women actually need anywhere between 8 to 10 hours of sleep, of high quality sleep per night, because our brains work harder, our bodies work harder. We're working harder throughout the day up here, which makes a lot of sense, right? But it's really interesting. I'm just so excited to see what all different kinds of studies come out when they start including women in their studies and how it affects all of us. But okay, I'm going to give you guys just a brief synopsis. These are study results that show that reducing sleep by just 2 or 3 hours per night can have dramatic health consequences. So, obesity. Several studies have linked insufficient sleep and weight gain. For example, one study found that people who slept fewer than 6 hours per night on a regular basis were much more likely to have excess body weight, while people who slept an average of 8 hours per night had the lowest relative body fat of the study group. Another study found that babies who are short sleepers are much more likely to develop obesity later in childhood than those who slept the recommended amount. Diabetes. Studies have shown that people who reported sleeping fewer than 5 hours per night had a greatly increased risk of having or developing type 2 diabetes. Fortunately, studies have also found that improved sleep can positively influence blood sugar control and reduce the effects of type 2 diabetes. Cardiovascular disease and hypertension. A recent study found that modestly reduced sleep, 6 to 7 hours per night, was associated with a greatly increased risk of coronary artery calcification, a predictor of future myocardial infarction, which is a heart attack. And I know that because my man is a first responder. He'll come home and be like, yeah, we dealt with like a myocardial infarction. And I'm like, I know that means heart attack. It means heart attack and death due to heart disease. There's also growing evidence of a connection between sleep loss caused by obstructive sleep apnea and an increased risk of cardiovascular diseases, including hypertension, stroke, coronary heart disease, and irregular heartbeat. Immune function. Interactions between sleep and the immune system have been well documented. Sleep deprivation increases the levels of many inflammatory mediators. The infections, in turn, affect the amount of sleep patterns. While scientists are just beginning to understand these interactions, early work suggests that sleep deprivation may decrease the ability to resist infection. Common cold. In a recent study, people who averaged less than 7 hours of sleep per night were about 3 times more likely to develop cold symptoms than study volunteers who got 8 or more hours of sleep when exposed to the cold causing rhinovirus. In addition, those individuals who got better quality sleep were less likely to come down with a cold. So it's kind of those things. You guys get the gist here. I'm sure there's a long list of like, well, if you get bad sleep, then this can happen and whatever. And again, I don't mean to fearmonger you guys. I just think it's important for us to recognize when it comes to your health, you have to focus on the bigger picture, babe. It's not just about what workouts you can do and what you're eating. And again, those are so important and they're very crucial things and people struggle with. And it might be a change in your nutrition. It might be just showing up to the gym and getting in more movement. And that is what you need at this period and time of your life in order for you to reach your goals. And while that is so important, and I'm not going to sit here and diss that by any means, but you have to look at your deep health. You have to look at all different signals that your body is giving you. And you have to look into other things as well. And sleep is definitely one of those that I want to bring to your guys' attention. And being able to have a proper wind down routine is crucial, crucial, crucial to getting high quality sleep. High quality sleep is just, you're going to live a high quality life. You are going to live a better life. You are going to find so many things happen in your day to day that when you start getting high quality sleep and paying attention to it, all of a sudden, oh, weird, my cravings aren't as bad, or I'm having better energy throughout the day, or where's my inflammation? I don't know her. It might just be a change in your sleep. So I want to bring awareness to that. Some things that I have been doing that have really helped me wind down at night is number one is dimming the lights. As soon as the sun is setting, my lights are setting as well. I do overhead lights during the day sometimes, depending on how much like natural light we're getting, for sure. Overhead lights, I'm not against it. But as soon as the sun starts going down, you are also lowering as the sun goes down. You want to follow with nature here. We are in tune with nature. We are one with nature, as we know that, girls, absolutely. So just start to wind down, start to bring the lights down. That's really, really important. Caffeine, cut the caffeine intake. I personally cannot drink coffee or caffeine past noon. If I drink a coffee at like 2 in the afternoon, I'm up and I'm not able to fall asleep. My brain is working. Even if I take like a sleep, little hot chocolate sleepy tea or whatever, I'm still up at night and my mind is rolling. So try to cut your caffeine intake and keep it only to the morning time if that is for you. The next thing would be screen time, not having a screen directly in front of your face. If you can put your phone down, I know that's like one of the number one recommended things that people always recommend when it comes to just, healthy habits. What I've been doing is I've actually been sleeping with my phone in my bathroom. Obviously, not everybody can do that. So I would suggest sleeping with your phone in a place that's out of direct reach, but just in case of emergency. Like if somebody's breaking in or something, you're going to need to grab your phone. You're not going to want to sleep with your phone in the kitchen, right? Although that would be nice. I have Nash next to me, so my phone can be completely in a different room. It can be downstairs. He's got his phone. He has no issues, right? He's got no issues. He doesn't need a wind down routine. He doesn't. God, boys and girls are so different. We're so extra and I love it. But I sleep with my phone in the room. He's there, but if he's not there and he's working night shift or whatever, then I will sleep with my phone just on my dresser, on the other end of my dresser. So it's not something that I can just roll over and grab right there. And it's not directly next to me. It's out of arm's reach. Or for safety purposes, if you want to put it on your dresser, maybe that's in front of your bed where you feel like, okay, in case of emergency, I can get up and get that very easily if I have to call somebody or whatever. I totally understand it's not realistic for everybody to put their phone in another room. If you can, do it. Because when you wake up and you're not doom scrolling, it's going to completely change your life. You're going to feel so much better throughout the day. So that's another thing that I do. And I will just be reading before bed. I try to put my phone down, no screen time, no social media, at least an hour before bed. It doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes I find myself scrolling and I'm like, oh my God, it's 10:30. What the heck? how did I already get here? I need to put my phone down. And it happens. You're not going to be perfect, but just because you don't do it one night doesn't mean you completely ruined your progress or whatever. Just put it down right away. Open up a book, go to bed, chat with your person or whatever it is, journal, whatever you want to do to calm your mind down. But I would say that having like blue light or having a screen right in front of you before you go to bed, like if you roll over right after, I don't know how high quality of sleep that you're going to be getting. So if you can maybe put your phone down and maybe 10 to 15 minutes, read a couple pages of a book, journal a little bit, have your mind wind down a little bit more before you roll over and sleep. Those are just some tips, some healthy, happy tips that really help me with winding down before bed, but really focus on your sleep. I encourage you guys to just look up sleep research. It is fascinating because it is applicable to everybody. We spend half of majority of our lives sleeping pretty much. Not majority, but a lot of our lives is spent sleeping and in that comatose state, and learning about what happens during that state is seriously so fascinating. I definitely recommend looking more into that. I know I've spent a lot of time talking about this and you're probably like, girl, where's the other healthy habits? Don't worry, this is a yappy episode. I've got a ton more, but I cannot emphasize enough: sleep, sleep, sleep. Look into it, prioritize it before anything. This is the last thing that I will say. I've said this plenty of times, but when it comes to when I worked with clients and they would go on vacation and they had a long travel day and I knew that they were kind of out and about and whatever, I wouldn't tell them the first day back, okay, make sure you hit all your workouts and you hit your steps and you hit all your water intake and you have perfect nutrition. What I would tell them is take the next 2 days. Your workouts are there if you want to do them. Don't worry about your nutrition. Just get back into your normal nutrition routine. Don't do anything more, anything less. Don't eat any less calories. Don't restrict yourself, but I want you to focus on your sleep. These next 2 nights, all I want you to do is prioritize your sleep. Get in your workouts if you can. Get back into your normal nutrition routine if you can. But I want you to focus back in on your sleep so you can get your sleep schedule back in order. That is priority numero uno before we get into other things. So I want you guys to really, really look into that. It's really important. Tip number 3, this is going to be a short and sweet one before we really dive into nutrition here, is your water bottle matters. Your water bottle matters. If you struggle drinking water, it's because you don't have a fun water bottle. You don't. Overconsumption this, overconsumption that, whatever. Okay, it's your money. You can spend it how you want. You want to have a couple different water bottles for different liquids that you like to drink: one for tea, one for coffee, one for pre workout, one for water, one for electrolytes, whatever it is, have at it. Spend your money however you want to, but your water bottle matters. If you are finding yourself not drinking enough water, find a fun water bottle. It doesn't have to be a gallon sized water bottle. It could be, it could be a hydro flask. It could be a hydro jug. It could be a freaking simple modern. It could be oh my God, what else do I use? A Walla, whatever. It could be whatever you want. Stanley, however you want to go about it. Your water bottle matters. Drink more water. Drink water when you wake up. Drink water in the morning. Drink it throughout the day. Water is important. You can drink too much water. Don't drink too much water, but start drinking more water. And your water bottle matters. So look up a fun water bottle and see if you like it. Try it out. And the way that you sip it, like, it matters. It does matter. Drinking out of a water bottle sometimes isn't so fun for people. So if you have a fun straw or a fun lid or a cute water bottle that you like to bring with you and you know that you'll have it everywhere because you like carrying it around, it matters. So find the right water bottle for you. It will encourage you to drink more water. Okay, getting into nutrition. So I not only am a certified personal trainer, but I'm also a certified nutrition coach as well. I took Precision One Nutrition's coaching certification, and I absolutely loved it. If you're looking to get your nutrition cert, if you're looking to get your personal training certification, definitely NASM. It is the best, hands down. It's hard. It's a hard test. It was a lot of studying, but it's so worth it. Do the best. Why not do the best? But NASM, I totally recommend. They also have a nutrition certification as well, which I was looking into when I was getting my nutrition cert. But I decided to go with Precision One Nutrition, and I could not recommend it enough. It is seriously the most, I would say, realistic and applicable certification because it doesn't talk about just a bunch of random nutrition things. It really focuses on the psychology behind nutrition and how people eat and what they eat and all the different things, which I really appreciated because nutrition and psychology work hand in hand. And I just absolutely love the course. So here's some things that I learned from the certification that I help my clients implement into their life and tips that I will always give here. So number one tip would be shopping the perimeter of the grocery store, which I'm sure that you've heard before. Shop the perimeter. If you look at a grocery store, the perimeter is where you want to stay. The aisles are where it gets a little dicey. So, what I usually do when it comes to grocery shopping is first of all, don't go in hungry. Second of all, have a list of what you're going to get so you stay on track and you know exactly what you're going to get. And what I do is when I go into a grocery store and I've seen it, maybe it's like your Aldi's, your Kroger, your Whole Foods, your whatever, and the grocery store, I make a list based off of the perimeter of the grocery store. So I always walk in and the produce section is always right there. So I always have my produce listed first. Then the next perimeter is the seafood and the meats. So then I'm going seafood, meats, and then I go to the dairy. I'm getting whatever dairy products I need. And then I go to the bakery. I pick up, my sourdough bread. And then after, I will have what I need to go into the aisles for, which is sometimes, some olive oil. I want to get some pasta or pasta sauce or, some tortilla chips or rice cakes or whatever, and I pop in and out of the aisles and I know exactly what aisles that I'm going into. It is the same thing every single time. It's like the Truman Show. Like it is literally the same thing every single time. I'm not changing up anything unless if we're doing a special dinner. I've been using the same grocery list for years. Nash and I have been eating the same ingredients and the same kinds of foods for years and years, and it is the best thing. So stick to the perimeter and only go in the aisles for things that you need that are on your list. Don't just putz up and down the aisle and be like, maybe I'll eat this, maybe I'll eat that. Oh, this looks good. Or maybe no, go in with a game plan. And even if you want to take it a step further, map out exactly what meals you're gonna have for the week. And then you can go from the meals, you can have the ingredients listed from there. So you can go meals, ingredients, or if you just ingredient prep and you're like, I already have my usual meals, whatever, but stick to the perimeter and only go in the aisles for what you need. Get in, get out. You should be spending less than 20 minutes in the grocery store, obviously, unless if you're shopping for a bigger family. I totally get it. But in and out real quick, less than 20 minutes. Don't go in hungry. Go in with a game plan and visualize what you're going to be getting when you go to the grocery store. It should be the same thing almost every single time. So, nutrition tip number one when it comes to grocery shopping, definitely shop the perimeter of the grocery store, pop in and out of the aisles for what you need, and follow and stick to your list. Nutrition tip number two is focusing in on what you eat instead of how much you eat. Now, this isn't necessarily directly applicable to everybody. Tracking macros is something that I'm not against. I'm very for it. There's a ton of different methods on how you can implement nutrition into your life in a way that works for you. Whether it's eating 80/20 and eating mindfully, whether it's eating intuitively and having that flexibility, whether it's being a little bit more rigid and tracking your calories, tracking your macros, weighing out your food, it all works for different kinds of people. And you can do one thing and grow out of it and do another thing, and it can work for a long time and then it can stop working and this, that, the other. When it comes to tracking your macros and measuring out your food, it's something that I recommend. First of all, I recommend tracking macros over tracking calories because if you have a calorie goal of maybe, let's say, 2,500 calories that you want to hit, guess what? You can hit 2,500 calories with a full Chick-fil-A meal. You've got the fried chicken, you've got the fries, and maybe you get yourself a shake and an extra little thing, and then another maybe to-go salad. That's probably 2,500 calories right there. And that's fine. You might be hitting the caloric goal, but how much of that is protein? How much of that is healthy fats? How much of that is carbs? How much of that is good fiber? Really focusing in on the macros can really help you a lot when it comes to your goals, which a lot of people, when they start tracking, and maybe they're tracking calories or, whatever, if you're tracking your calories or your macros, most likely you're trying to gain muscle, gain weight, or lose weight. That's the goal. You're not tracking just to track because you're having fun with it and it's just something that you like to do. You're trying to reach a specific goal. If you have numbers involved like that and you have a little bit, I don't want to say like stricter, I don't know if rigid is the right word, but a little bit more type A with numbers where it's like this, that, the other. I'm measuring shit out. This is how I like to work, whatever. But you want to focus on the quality of the food that you're eating. And you're able to do that a little bit easier through protein, through your macros, proteins, fats, and carbs. And also, when it comes to reaching goals, if you're trying to gain muscle, you're probably going to want to prioritize your protein and making sure you're getting in enough of that. And you're not able to do that if you're just tracking your calories. Or if you're trying to lose fat, you're probably really wanting to focus in not only on your protein, you should always be doing that, but it's your carbs and fats that you're changing around. If you're going through a bulk, you're probably going to have a little bit more protein, a lot more carbs, and probably the same fat. If you're trying to lose fat, you're going to see a change in the carbs. Protein's going to stay around the same. Maybe you'll cut a little bit of the protein, but you want to maintain muscle. So you want to prioritize protein, but your carbs are going to change. Your fat's probably going to stay around the same. Maybe it's going to drop a little bit. But again, you're not able to do that. You're able to kind of, this sounds kind of bad, but like manipulate the way that you look when you track macros like that, as opposed to tracking calories. So that's why I always suggest tracking calories isn't bad. It works for some people. But if you really want to kick it up a notch, tracking your macros is really helpful. It's something that I suggest everybody does for a short period of time, even if they don't want to. It's extremely, extremely helpful and it really opens up your eyes. When I first tracked, oh my God, 5 or 6 years ago, and I started to weigh out my food, you guys, when I first weighed out what the serving size on a scale, I put my peanut butter on the scale and I weighed out what a serving size of peanut butter or a nut butter is, like 1 or 2 tablespoons, and it's a dense fat. Like nut butters are usually denser fats. It's like 100 something calories. It's, X amount of fat. It's a dense fat. That's what nut butter is. It's a fat. But when I weighed that out for the first time and I was like, it's this much. Like you can what like a tablespoon or two is based off of like your little measure. But when you actually see how much peanut butter or a specific nut butter is the serving size, and I'm like, oh my God, I've been having like 6 servings for one thing that I had, whether it was like, a peanut butter sandwich or I put it in something or oatmeal or whatever it was that I was using the nut butter for. My mind was blown. So that's when tracking became really helpful and being able to see, okay, this is 4 ounces of ground beef, or this is 5 ounces of sweet potatoes, or this is 30 grams, or not 30 grams, but this is like 8 grams of fat right here. Super helpful to be able to see actually how much food and the portion size of that. It will totally change the game. When it comes to tracking, there's a fine line, I will say, especially for women, based off of my own experience and also the clients that I've worked with. You're walking a fine line with tracking when you're introducing numbers. A lot of the times, not all the time, a lot of the times tracking becomes restrictive and it becomes addicting. And if at any point in your journey calories, numbers, whatever, and that goes for the number on the scale or any kind of measurements with numbers, becomes something that gives you anxiety, becomes addictive, becomes toxic, becomes dependable in a way that's not healthy. You've got to change course, and you've got to change course quickly, because if you don't nip that in the bud, it's going to be a lot harder. It's really easy to work into that addictive, kind of more toxic mindset. It's really hard to work out of it. You'll slip into it without even really knowing, but then you kind of do know. Weeks, months go by, and then when you want to try to change it and you want to get out of it, it is a hole that you kind of have dug yourself into, and you got to climb your way out, which it's doable. It's totally doable. You can live a life where nutrition is feels good in your life and you have that balance, and you're like, oh no, food is fuel. I feel good with what I'm doing, and I'm feeling good with what I'm eating at home, and I'm cooking a lot at home, but I'm also going out and enjoying myself. And guess what? I look kind of the same, or if not, I look better. I'm enjoying life. There's a life that you can live with that. So, but outside of that, with tracking macros, it's It can be difficult, but I suggest everybody does it for a period of time. You should not be tracking your macros and calories for the rest of your life. It should not be a long term thing that you're doing, period, point blank, unless if you are a professional athlete, unless if you are a professional bodybuilder, an Olympic lifter, or whatever, where that is your sport and that is your profession and that is your lifestyle, where you have to track like that for years and years because that's what you love to do. Those are professional athletes, you guys. You're not a professional athlete. No offense. I love you, girl, but you're not a professional athlete. So there's no need to be doing that for a long period of time unless if there is an end goal to step on stage or to do whatever it is. Shout out to all the bodybuilders out there. What a crazy sport. It's truly amazing. It's very inspirational for sure. I've been around bodybuilders for years and years, and it's you guys are awesome. And a lot of my friends are bodybuilders, and I'm not dogging that at all. You guys are the best. And they're also the funniest and the chillest people ever. The coolest people at the gym are going to be bodybuilders. Even if they look the scariest, they're the homies. But that is where it kind of comes into play where it's like you shouldn't be doing it for a long period of time. You should do it for a period of time to learn, to get portion sizes, so then you can start eyeballing. But when you focus in on instead of circling back to the point, you guys know me, I love to yap. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this episode. Sorry, I'm yapping so much. But when you start shifting on what you're eating as opposed to how much you're eating, things really change up because guess what? Okay, you have a goal of maybe 130 grams of protein per day. You can hit that with 2 protein shakes, 2 protein bars, a protein chopstick, and maybe one meal that has like chicken in it. But guess what? One of the meals has a decent quality protein in it, a whole food. If you're getting in your proteins, fats, carbs, or whatever through filler, I don't want to say filler foods because protein shakes and protein bars are by no means bad. And I'm not dogging that at all. But if that is a majority of the way that you're getting your protein and you're not really getting it in through whole foods and you're wondering why your digestion is off and you're not able to drop the kids off every morning, to drop a deuce, okay? If you're not able to drop the kids off every morning and you're wondering why you're bloated and you're wondering why you're inflamed and you're this, that, the other, but you're like, but I'm tracking my macros and I'm hitting my macros and I'm still feeling like shit. I just feel like bleh, weird because I'm like really strictly tracking these numbers and I'm hitting my goals. And yeah, I look a little different, but I'm still feeling kind of inflamed. Well, let's take a look at the kind of foods you're eating. And it's like, okay, you had, protein waffles or pancakes and a protein shake. And then you had a protein bar. And then you had like another, whatever, which again isn't bad. Food is food. It's okay. But if you're tracking and you're hitting these numbers, but you're not feeling good, let's look at the quality of food that you're eating. Let's look at the kinds of proteins that you're eating. And that's where whole foods come into play. What are whole foods? The just single ingredient things, your produce section, all of that is whole foods. You can pick it from the ground and put it in your mouth for the most part. That is a whole food. It's pretty much just one single ingredient. It is the food itself. You've got your sweet potatoes, your russet potatoes, your red potatoes, your onions, your veggies, all of that stuff. It is just that single ingredient. That is a whole food. So when you start focusing in on, because whole foods, nutrition is everything. If you can't tell, nutrition and sleep. When you start focusing in on the kinds of foods that you're eating, oh my gosh, it is going to change the game. It is totally going to change the game. People think it's more expensive and it takes more time. But when you start to get into a routine, which it can be, but when you start getting into a routine of eating more high quality foods and high quality meals that are still packed full of nutrients and high protein and good carbs and good fats, and you start focusing in on that, it's an instantaneous change in the way that you feel and an instantaneous change in the way that you look. So, if you're wanting to kind of switch over, this is what I recommend. And tracking can be whatever, but I really recommend for a week or two, at least a week, just write down, just food log it out. Don't measure things out if you don't want to. Write down the kinds of foods that you're eating. No judgment. Okay. Eat your usual normal meals. If that's, a couple candy bars at night, if that's a couple coffees throughout the day, if that's, a couple high protein meal, whatever it is, list it out and then really look at it and look at it on paper and be like, okay, these are the kinds of foods that I'm eating, and start with one meal. Be like, okay, my breakfast, I don't even eat breakfast, or my breakfast is, usually protein waffles and that's it. What if I did, an egg scramble? What if I did like one egg, some egg whites, some turkey bacon, and sourdough bread? Sourdough bread sourdough bread is the best bread that you can have. Okay. It's low on the glycemic index level. It's not going to spike your blood sugar as much. Sourdough is phenomenal. Nothing against it. It is legit the best bread that you can ever have, ever, ever. Piece of sourdough bread with some like grass fed butter on it, or you could do a little bit of avocado to get some healthy fats in there. You could put a little bit of, arugula on there, sprinkle some balsamic glaze or honey or hot honey or whatever. That is, oof, yeah, love that. Little banana, little fruit on the side, raspberries, blueberries. That, yes, yes, yes. That is high quality. That's yummy, yummy, yummy. And, there's days where you're going to have some protein waffles, and guess what? That's okay. You're not going to die. You're not going to gain all this weight. You're not going to lose all this weight. It's not going to be a crazy change. But when you start slowly incorporating those foods, more whole foods, high quality meals into your routine, it's going to completely change the game. So I encourage you, maybe if you're tracking, maybe if you're focusing in on numbers, maybe if you're thinking about it, I encourage you first to focus in on the kinds of foods you're eating and what you're eating as opposed to how much. Because it might just be a change of, okay, I was so into my numbers and I was tracking for a long time and I was not really seeing, I was kind of seeing results, but not in the way that I wanted to. And I still feel, ugh. Let's change and try, and pouring all that time and energy that you did into tracking, focus in on the quality of food that you're eating and what kind of foods that you're eating and see how it makes you feel. See how it makes you feel. Okay, the last nutrition tip that I'm going to give you is going to be the most important one because nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it at all, okay? How you eat your food, how you eat your food, not even what you're eating, not even how much you're eating. Yes, that matters how much you're eating and what you're eating, like we just talked about, but how you actually see your food, chew it, swallow it, whatever, the whole digestive process, how you eat your food matters. It really matters. Okay. This is why a health and fitness journey is so fun, but also so chaotic and so complicated and so all over the place because it could just be a simple change with your nutrition. It could be a change and a shift from instead of tracking going towards more whole foods. You could just incorporate one whole food meal into your day and that might completely fucking change the game for you. That might be it. And then you go from one meal a day that you incorporate for 2 weeks, like we talked about with habits and goals and stuff, and you're able to do that for 2 weeks, then you start doing 2 meals a day. And then all of a sudden, a couple weeks later, all of your meals are more whole. It might be that. It might be a change in that. Or walk with me here. It might be how you eat your food. If you're inhaling your food, we've all been there. Hi, raise your hand. I wish Nash was here. He literally inhales his food. I sit down, I'm taking my first bite, I look over, gone, boom, he's done with the meal. I'm like, sir, I'm full just looking at you. I'm done with my food because are you okay? How you eat your food and eating your food slowly is going to change your freaking life. We eat too quickly. We do everything too quickly. We are meant to slow down. We're meant to first of all hibernate in the winter and not kickstart off to try to like build our summer bodies. Not only that, but we are meant to slow down in all aspects of life. Things are too fast right now. And you know what we're also doing? We're eating too damn fast. Let me read you guys something from Precision Nutrition. This is a really, really great article. It's all about eating slowly. The benefits of slow eating include better digestion, better hydration, easier weight loss or maintenance, and greater satisfaction with our meals. Meanwhile, eating quickly leads to poor digestion, increased weight gain, and lower satisfaction. The message is clear: slow down your eating and enjoy improved health and well being. Y'all just might be chewing too fast. You might be. You wonder why you're inflamed after a meal and you're walking around, your stomach really hurts. You're like, oh my God, I need to go gluten and dairy free. Like, that's why no, it might actually be the fact that you are inhaling your food. We are not meant to like scavenge our food in a matter of minutes because listen to this. When you eat slowly, you digest better. You lose or maintain more weight more easily, yet you also feel more satisfied with each meal. Conversely, if you rush your meals, your digestion suffers. Meals are stressful, and it might even seem like each meal is over too soon, which often makes you want to eat more. or you overshoot the runway, finishing the meal before your natural satiety signals kick in and end up suddenly uncomfortably overstuffed. Now, why should we eat slowly? I'm going to tell you. Sensing satisfaction is so important. So important. One of the most important benefits of eating slowly is that it gives your body time to recognize that you're full. Listen to this. It takes about 20 minutes from the start of a meal for the brain to send out signals of satiety. Now, satiety, you've probably heard this. You're like, oh, if you eat more protein, you're going to be more satiated. Satiety is basically the feeling of fullness. Like when you eat a meal and you sit there and you're like, I am full, that is satiety. And so things like protein is going to keep you fuller longer. Carbs are not going to keep you fuller longer. They burn in quickly because that's the first thing that your body taps into right when it's looking for energy is those carbs. Now, protein is going to keep you fuller longer, which is why people are like, eat protein with every meal. Or if you're going to go for a snack, make sure it has a lot of protein in it. So then you're fuller longer. So that's what satiety is. But let me repeat that. It takes about 20 minutes from the start of a meal for the brain to send out signals of satiety. Most people's meals don't last that long. How many of you eat a meal in less than 5 minutes? Me. I need to work on this too. Okay. Remember, I've got a camera and I've got like a little like thing on it where it's the screen where I'm like looking at myself the whole time. I'm actually talking to myself. This whole episode is for me because I need to be doing this more. And I always try to mindfully eat a lot slower, but it can be difficult, especially if you've got your little garden gummies and stuff and you have a bottomless pit stomach and you just keep eating and eating and eating. Some people have that without the garden gummies, and your brain and your body is not able to catch up. So what do? You finish your whole meal in like 5 minutes. So you go back for seconds, which is fine, which is totally fine. But when you go back for seconds and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm so hungry. Okay, I need a sweet treat right away. Then you go in this sweet treat. You have had 2 servings plus a sweet treat plus whatever in a matter of in less amount of time than your brain has told you that your body is like full. So then by the time, which makes sense, right? By the time that your brain is like, bitch, we are full. You are stuffed. You are not satiated. You are overstuffed and you're like, oh my God, my stomach is killing me. I cannot move. I can barely walk right now. I can barely breathe, whatever. And it's like your body was like, if you just waited about 10 minutes, okay? So, I mean, I know this is bad, but it's like imagine the extra calories you ingest just because you eat too quickly. And it's not a bad thing. This is why intuitive eating and mindful eating is really great. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. I only recently started to get into intuitive eating, but it's something that you really have to learn practices and habits on when you're actually eating. There's a lot of habits you instill in your day, your morning routine, your nighttime routine, your this, that, and the woo wah. How about instilling habits when it comes to actually eating your food? How about that? Also, eating more slowly improves your digestion. Think of digestion as a chain reaction. As soon as we see, smell, or think about food, step one, we start salivating to prepare putting the food in our mouth, right? Step two, saliva contains enzymes that break down the food and moistens the mouth for easier swallowing. Meanwhile, digestive steps 3, 4, and 5, etc., have to get ready to go to work. Our stomachs start to secrete more acid, our small intestine starts to get ready for some peristalsis, and so forth. If we rush this process, we force our GI tract to deal with stuff before it's fully prepared. Surprises are great on birthdays, but not so great during digestion. At the University of Rhode Island, researchers examined how eating speed affected the early stage of digestive processes by observing 60 young adults at a meal. Slow eaters consumed 2 ounces of food per minute. Medium speed eaters consumed 2.5 ounces of food per minute. Fast eaters consumed 3.1 ounces per minute. They also took larger bites and chewed less before swallowing. This means that not only are fast eaters putting more food down in a given amount of time, that food isn't all well processed. Food is essentially landing in fast eater stomachs in big ol' lumps. Digestion starts in the mouth. It literally does. We all learned that. I'm sure you guys remember that. But large bites that are inadequately chewed will be more difficult for your stomach to turn into chyme, the liquid mix that is partially food, digested food, hydrochloric acid, digestive enzymes, and water that passes through the pyloric valve on its way to elimination. Food that isn't properly broken down into chyme can lead to indigestion and other potential GI problems. And who wants that? Okay, so eating slower helps you eat less. Is that something that everybody needs to be doing? Yes. Not everybody needs to be eating less, but here's the thing. Learn how to eat slowly. Eat slowly. So this is what I tell my clients, because sometimes when I have clients that are following, their food logging, I'm giving them nutrition recommendations, they're following it, they're hitting their workouts, but they're still dealing with indigestion, digestive issues, they're gassy, they're having troubles using the restroom, they're feeling inflamed and bloated after meals. When I ask them, I'm like, okay, how are you feeling after how this, that, the other? Then I'm like, okay, I need you to tell me how you eat. And I'm like, I need you to be brutally honest here. This is a safe space. Tell me how you eat. How long? I want you to time yourself. Don't rush through it. Don't take your time. Just casually time yourself and let me know how long it takes you to finish your meal. And I want to see a picture of the meal. It sounds crazy, but when I see a picture of the meal and the fact that they timed it and they ate the whole thing in 4 minutes, I'm like, okay, been there, done that. That's me. Okay. But also, I'm like, perfect. Let's try this. Let's tweak how you eat. What I want you to do is I want you to chew 20 times before you swallow. If your food is not fully chewed into little chum in your mouth, I know this can kind of be gross to think about, and it's not fully chewed in your mouth, keep chewing. If it's more than 20 times, swallow. Wait a second. Okay. Get the next little fork full of food ready. Pop it in your mouth. I want you to chew slower. I want you to swallow it. I want you to take your time. Take 10 to 15 seconds before each bite. Enjoy yourself. Maybe chat it up with people. Halfway through the meal, I want you to have like half a glass of water. Sit there for a second. Let the water settle in your belly. Continue to eat your food, whatever. I want you to take a good amount of time to eat your food, and I want you to tell me how you feel. Okay. When they started to do this and started to implement this, I've had some clients, it has completely changed the game for them because they're fuller longer. They're eating less inherently because they're actually not even finishing their meals, which isn't always something that is helpful for people. I'm not telling you out here to like eat less and to like not finish your meals. Okay. But what's happening is that they're actually able to recognize when they are full, which leads to less inflammation and bloating. They're using the restroom regularly and they are feeling good because the food that is going into their system is being properly broken down. And when you have properly broken down food, it then spits out into the areas that it's supposed to go to. You have to trust in the fact that when you start eating healthier, I mean, when you eat healthier, you can eat more food. You can. And when they start to eat healthier, it's like this whole chain reaction. Everything starts to change. They're like, oh my God, I'm no longer like ripping ass and burping. I'm totally able to use the restroom easily. It's like a couple days it takes to really kind of get into the swing of things. Completely changes the game. It might just be how you're eating your food, you guys. It's something, again, that's not talked about enough, that can totally change the game for you. We're doing not only everything too fast, but we are eating too dang fast, and it needs to be something that we nip in the bud now. So it could just be a change in that could help your digestion, that could help. And if your digestion is good, then everything else is good, right? But I wanted to bring that up as the last nutrition tip for here. I know that I've kept you guys long. This is kind of a longer episode, and I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I could talk for like another 20 minutes, but I would say those are my most helpful tips that I can give you that I feel like are directly applicable to anybody and everybody. Look into your sleep, you guys. Focus in on your nutrition in a different way. And overall, I would say the biggest takeaway is like, look at your health in a different lens. Just take a look at your deep health. Focus in on other things, your energy levels, your sleep, how you feel after you eat, after you work out, and just focus in on that as opposed to just trying to drop the weight and the number on the scale, which, by the way, the number on the scale does not define how healthy you are, babe. Not at all. Get that shit out of here. Get it out. It does not define how healthy you are, and it doesn't define health by any means. It's just a number, and the number says what? It doesn't calculate anything. It doesn't give you your muscle, doesn't give you your fat, doesn't give you anything. It's just a number on the scale. Get it out of here. That doesn't define your health. And also, track your macros. Is it helpful? Yes. But if it's becoming unhelpful, get out of that. Don't dig yourself into a hole further because it's going to take you a lot longer to get out. Hopefully, these tips helped you guys looking at your health in a different lens, focusing in on how you feel, doing things that you enjoy, eating foods that you enjoy. That is what life is about. Life is too short to be stressing about numbers and trying to look a certain way. Let's focus in on how we feel because once you feel good, you look good. You know what I mean? But I'm going to wrap it up here. You know me. I could talk for another like, oh my God, for another forever. But I love you guys so much. Thanks for hanging around for this longer episode. If you guys want more helpful tips, I'm totally happy to do another episode. Just let me know. And a lot of you guys left some really great helpful tips that I want to share as well. So maybe we'll do like a little part 2 or something, or maybe in the next episode, I'll start off with some of the tips that you guys gave. A lot of you guys are like, drink more water, no screen time. And a lot of you guys gave similar tips that I gave here as well. If you guys have any other tips as well on Spotify, you can comment. So I would love, and so greatly appreciate if you guys left some comments on this post on Spotify and let me know your number one, keep it simple, keep it short, keep it sweet, healthy tip. I would love that because we're all here just trying to better ourselves. But I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for joining me for today's episode, and I will talk to you soon.